We will call the Germantown School District Board of Education meeting to order at 7 p.m. September 16th. Item 1, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance if you're available. Able?
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One A, official meeting notification, Dr. Reuter.
Thank you. Public notice of all meetings has been given by communication from the superintendent's office to the public, to those news media who have requested such notices, and to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Northwest Now, Express News, and the West Bend Daily News. Public notice has also been posted in schools throughout the district and on the Germantown School District website.
Thank you. 1B, roll call.
Ewert.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Barney is here. Loth.
Here.
Medved is absent excused. Pollock.
Here.
Higginbotham.
Here.
Item 2, approval of agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Barney with the motion, Ms. Higginbotham with the second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that passes. 3, reports. 3A, District Administrator update, Dr. Chris Reuter.
Thank you, Mr. Ewert. This evening, we have a new student representative joining us. Ms. Julia Saxman is a senior at Germantown High School, and she'll be presenting her report in a few minutes on the agenda, and she'll be our representative throughout the year. And I asked her to provide me a little bio so you knew a little bit about her before she comes up and shares all the great things going on in our district. Julia has been on student council for the past 3 years during her time at GHS, and she's very excited to have gotten the position of student council president for this school year, 24-25. She is also on the girls swim and dive team and has been on that since her freshman year. And when she's not swimming for Germantown High School, she swims with the Rocket Aquatics Club year-round. After high school, she plans on pursuing a secondary education, and she is currently committed to swim at the University of Denver. And she is undecided in what she's going to study. I'm sure she'll figure that out this year or next year for sure, but has business, interest in business or psychology as possible career paths. So welcome, Julia. We're glad you're here, and we represent our students and schools. Moving on, we are now into the 3rd week of school. It's hard to believe. We spent a lot of time in the first 2 weeks in our buildings. Thank you to the board members that were able to join me on the first day and tour, Mr. Brown, Mr. Barney, and Mr. Pollock. It was great to go with you and visit schools, visit classrooms, and the excitement of first day of school, right, and everything that was going on. I spent last week some time at both Amy Bell County Line and GHS, as we have newer administrators there, and making sure they were in the thick of it, and if they had any questions, as well as we visited classrooms. A lot of great feedback from the staff on a smooth start to the school year. Valuable, as you heard tonight in some of our committees prior to this, valuable time was spent in service, as well as allowing teachers some flexibility with their time as they saw fit on how they needed it to be prepared for the start of the school year. So other than some paving issues over by County Line, I think we had a very good start to the school year. Tonight I'd like to formally recognize, we put it on social media, but Mr. Luke Vosters, who is one of our high school career and technical education and Project Lead the Way teachers. Mr. Smith, our high school principal, nominated him as the Brewers Impact Teacher of the Month, and he received that award from the Milwaukee Brewers. So Mr. Smith and I last week visited his classroom to congratulate him. I think he's getting some tickets and some merchandise as part of the honor. And I just wanted to share that award is given to a different teacher across the state every month. So Mr. Vosters was the first to receive it as a teacher representing Germantown High School. And that award is for teachers who make a significant impact on the lives of kids and the community. And I can share with Mr. Vosters being a newer teacher, I believe his 2nd year at the high school, and coming on board, he picked up a large caseload of classes related to Project Lead the Way and had to go through a lot of extensive training very early on and in the summer and at nights and on weekends, and he's engaged in that and done a great job. This award really represents who he is as a teacher. I know he's actually paired with some community members on some projects that are real-world critical thinking projects that our kids are applying to real issues that are going on in the community through architecture and robotics and other venues of technology. And I got feedback from the community members he worked with that it's amazing work, and the kids' feedback was that these are some of the best projects we've done in our time at Germantown High School. So it's well-deserving for Luke, and we congratulate him on behalf of the district. And the last thing, to you as the board, we won't be meeting formally when it's School Board Appreciation Week, but that starts October 6th. So I want to say on behalf of the district and the employees here and community, thank you for your service as school board members. There's a lot of time and energy that's not on camera or in meetings that you put in, and that's much, much appreciated as you govern the school district. So thank you. That's all I have for this month.
3B, Student Representative Report. Welcome.
I wanted to start by just thanking you for having me. I'm very grateful to be here and to have this opportunity, so thank you. Amy Bell started their first day of school with a Welcome Back Bellfest, where they focused on the character trait kindness. They also celebrated the end of the first week with a Packers Spirit Wear Day. County Line is buzzing with excitement as we kick off the new school year. The Comets started with an all-school assembly that brought our learners together and set the stage for a fantastic year ahead. With over 490 students joining us, the energy was exciting across our school. Our PTA has been instrumental in creating opportunities for connection, hosting events like Donuts with Grown-Ups and the Welcome Back Picnic, where families enjoyed a fun-filled time together. Our open house gave parents a chance to meet our dedicated teachers and staff while exploring the learning environments that inspire our students daily. Officer Olson and Archie, our therapy dog, visited the County Line students and were a big hit at drop-off. Make sure to check the County Line Facebook page for photos of these events. At MacArthur, all of our students entered their first day by walking the red carpet, organized by the PTA to celebrate entering a new year and produce excitement and positivity about starting school up again. There were lots of smiles as we watched students and staff enter. A lot of joy came from the families as they cheered the students on. There has been a lot of work this year on routines and procedures, including bus safety, lunchroom expectations, and recess expectations. Teachers have been working to create positive classroom communities. The school had their first kickoff assembly this week, and the focus was around kindness. Students brainstormed how they can use kindness in their daily lives, and they learned about what kindness looks like in a school setting. The school year is off to a fabulous start at Rockfield Elementary. Teachers participated in school-wide community builders, reviewed building-wide expectations, and received training around their new Wonders reading and writing program. This year's school theme is Be the Change, and Rockfield's first character trait is respect. Students will discuss how to be respectful in the classroom, in the school, and in the community. This year, Kennedy Middle School welcomed 13 new staff. Several of our new teachers are Germantown alumni. The new bell schedule at Kennedy has started, proving to be beneficial for students to spend some time in advisory time at the end of the day, organizing themselves to go home. We have an updated cafeteria at Kennedy. Our new floor, new painting, and new lights are great. Thank you to our school board and facilities department for your hard work and commitment to KMS. As we embark on this new academic year, Kennedy is emphasizing the importance of kindness. Every day, we will be encouraging our students to practice kindness in their daily interactions, to be empathetic, and to support one another. Being kind is at the heart of all we do to learn and grow together. At the high school, we hosted our freshman tailgate prior to the first football game to welcome our class of 2028. This included grilling out, tailgate games, and performances from the War Chicks and the Wall of Sound. Thank you to everyone involved in getting our courtyard ready for student and class use this coming year. We have opened it up for lunches and for classes to reserve to get some fresh air throughout the day. Officer Olson's new partner, Archie, our therapy dog, has been a huge hit with students and is already lifting up the spirits of everyone he meets. He's been making his rounds in the hallways and cafeteria and has been loving getting to meet everyone. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Item 3C, Seclusion and Restraint Reports. Ms. Katie Cole.
Hi. With included in your board packet, you will see a report of the number of incidents of seclusion or restraint from last school year. Within the chart, it's broken down by all of the buildings. It also includes the Richardson School and then ZISA, which are alternative placements where we have students placed last school year. And then within the chart, it's the number of incidents of seclusion, total number of students that were involved, and of that total, how many students were students with disabilities. And then underneath there, similarly, it's physical restraint, the total number of students involved, and then the number of students who are students with disabilities.
I've seen two numbers that stick out, 28 and 53. Is there any information around why those are
I
that
would-
significantly higher than?
Right, I would say some of those are where seclusion and restraint happened and they're counted separately in this chart, but it might have been one incident where both of those occurred. So that is part of that. Also, just a student situation that definitely, I think, over the school year had a lot of meetings and plans put into place to reduce those numbers. I don't have the dates on here, but I did have to go through all of those, and I would say throughout the school year that the numbers were reducing over the school year with that student situation.
So we're looking at that 53 and 28, most of those could be one incident,
Or one student.
or one student, but,
It's one student, but seclusion and restraint could have been used and would have been counted then for both of them.
are we confident in our reporting across the district from building to building? Because this is one school is standing out significantly. I mean, everything else is one or two.
Correct.
We're looking at 53 and 28, that's not, my analytical side is saying
Yeah,
that that's abnormal.
definitely a student that was in crisis, I would say.
Okay,
I wasn't a part of that situation last year, but
Sure.
that would tell me that there was a student that was in crisis that had a lot of
going
things
in,
put into place and supports put into place to help that go in the right direction.
so we're hoping this year we see that.
Absolutely
With
would
all
want
of the
that-
planning, that should,
Right, I can tell you that after 2 instances of seclusion or restraint, that we do reconvene an IEP team to make adjustments to students' behavior plans and make sure that we have positive behavioral supports put into place to make those situations go in the right direction.
so that's triggered if a student is involved in more than two.
If a student with an IEP has 2 instances in
Sure.
a school year,
Yep.
then we reconvene the IEP.
What if we're seeing a staff member, and it's not always the same student, but we see a staff member, multiple incidents of seclusion? Or, do you understand what I'm saying? Where they're not, I'm not saying that they're necessarily wrong for taking that action, but we're seeing maybe a staff member that is a little more fast to that approach.
Yeah, so we
than
do,
others.
anybody that would be a part of a seclusion restraint would be trained, would be CPI trained, and it's a team where there are different roles within that team. So really, anytime I've been involved in that, it's really, there's a team of people there determining that at this point, it's unsafe.
Sure.
And that's always the last resort.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I would say there could be a staff member that maybe is involved at multiple instances because that's a student that they are working closely with. But definitely that's not something that person would be alone.
Sure.
That makes sense.
I understand what you're saying. I look at it from 20 years' experience in law enforcement. If we see an officer, and it's not necessarily wrong, but consistently engaged in use of force incidents, right? And he could just be a very proactive officer and those situations arise. It's not necessarily his own doing. But even in that scenario, we check in on that as kind of a cross-check to make sure that we're not overly aggressively doing our job versus, most of the time, the answer there is, he's just simply in those situations and he's reacting to actions towards them. I guess I'm asking that side.
Yeah,
of it.
so anytime that this would be documented, there's a process that follows where there's a debrief that happens with the principal. So that is a part of the process, really, to talk through what happened.
Perfect.
We definitely want to reduce that There's also the reports, you need to communicate with a family member immediately, but then also they get the written documentation as well. And the team then, at the last step of documenting this is the follow-up, whether it's an IEP meeting, a parent conference, conducting a functional behavioral assessment. So there's always a follow-up after each instance. I can also say too that it's the right thing to do to document if even it's a minute of seclusion. And some of these instances could have been very short period of time, but the documentation, I think, that's what we are supposed to do. And that can account for some high numbers as well.
Any incident, right, of seclusion or
Correct.
restraint
Yeah,
has to
yeah,
be.
absolutely.
Time is irrelevant.
Right, so you do want staff to be documenting these things, and we do have a process for that, in a way, and I've given some specific direction too on to make sure that we have accurate numbers, as well, so.
And we have a legal responsibility per the act that's outlined here. Post this meeting, Mrs. Cole then has to report to the Department of Public Education
Correct.
our data as well.
And that's part of why we bring this report forward. It's
Yeah.
annually you have to.
Right,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thanks.
If anybody else has questions on it, I apologize.
Yeah, does anyone else have any questions?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Actually, I do, I'm sorry, I
Uh-oh.
was clearing my throat at that point. You had mentioned with these reports that there's guidance in place now that if it happens twice, it gets escalated to another level. If there's more than 2 incidences with the
Oh.
same student?
If there's more than 2, when there's 2 instances with a student that has an IEP,
Yep.
that means that the IEP team needs to get together, because it would be the assumption then that the plan is not working, and you would need to put in different supports for that child.
Was that in place last year?
Yes, they would have reconvened, and made adjustments to plans.
So if this isn't one, I won't say one individual, but mostly one, how did we get to that number of incidences? Did we actually keep rewriting the IEP and it didn't work?
I'm going to go under the assumption that they came together and made different changes. You do have to allow for some time for changes to work, though. With any plan, you have to, 6 weeks is what we use for an intervention, for example, for behavior. Once you put something into place, you have to give that time for that plan to work. So they probably got together to revisit and make sure that those things were put into place with fidelity. It doesn't mean necessarily major changes are put into place each time. And I'm going based again on someone who was not involved in this situation.
Right, you
so I'm-
weren't there last
Yeah.
year, so that's why I'm kind of saying, I hope we understand what these numbers are, so we are putting policies in place this year and next year and going forward to address it, because even with that, if we update the IEP and we give it 6 weeks, the number of incidents is, multiply that number times 6, that's well over a year. So,
And some of the concern there, obviously, we're focused on the student involved in the crisis situation. But we have 15, 20 other students in the classroom that 53 times that could have been disruptive. Now, some of that could have happened on playground, recess, lunch, whatever. But that's continual disruption within the building for the other students that are there as well, along with the staff. Now, staff attention's drawn away. And you can't answer for this, you weren't in the position last year, but it is concerning. And I think that's what Eric's getting at, is there's some serious concern. We see 53, that's, even if the 28 is part of that 53, where at least the base is at least 53, but it could be a little higher if they're not all incident together. So we have the rest of the population to look after, while also maintaining the best interest of that student and their family.
Right, and I think that we can, make a more restrictive, we always want to use the least restrictive environment, but if for scenarios like that, when I mentioned before, like a student in crisis, that we would move to most likely more restrictive placement that doesn't affect other students while we try to get those things going in the right direction.
Sure. And for staff as well, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we've seen incidents where staff has taken, for lack of a better term, some abuse from a student while they're trying to remedy this, and we're trying to I understand we have to have a soft approach to it, but sometimes we have to do what's in the best interest for the greater. As unfortunate as that is, that number is a little startling when I saw it.
And by all means, you made the comment that the right thing to do is report it, so don't
Correct.
take this in any other light of, oh, we shouldn't be reporting.
Yeah.
We want to see these numbers.
Yeah.
And we encourage everybody to step forward because it betters the experience for all students and that one student in particular, so. But I just want to make sure that we understand where, what happened last year and we got a fix in place, or we think we do, and we won't know until we try it. Okay.
Thank you. Item 4, citizen comment. I've been told we have none. Nobody? Going once, going twice. 5, consent agenda. We got 5A, approval of September 9th, 2024 meeting minutes, and approval B, approval of donations.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A and B.
Second.
Mr. Barney with the motion, Ms. Higginbotham with the second. Any discussion? Could we just highlight, I'd ask to highlight the donations.
Yep,
Dr.
I'm
Renner?
more than happy to read those off. Actually, I have a comment from one of the donators as well. So the following donations this evening are in front of the board for approval. Germantown Gridiron Club, $7,500 for technology and equipment for GHS football. Gale Food and Beverage, $750 for GHS football. GeForce VBC, $1,200 towards 24 new volleyballs for girls, GHS girls volleyball. An anonymous donation of $5,092 to Germantown High School boys basketball. Anonymous donation of $500 to GHS girls swim and dive. Toothtown Dentistry for Children, $1,000 towards Germantown High School girls swim and dive. An anonymous donation for $1,000 towards Germantown High School swim and dive. Nicholas Angul Andrakini, I believe, $500 towards Germantown High School boys soccer. An anonymous donation of $250 towards Germantown girls golf. SoCal Milwaukee, $300 for T-shirts to the GHS Key Club. And Miss Ann Kramer, the treasurer of SoCal Milwaukee, emailed Mrs. Siegert, our physical education teacher, but also the Key Club advisor with the following message. SoCal Milwaukee, a Czechoslovakian group based in Milwaukee, has used Germantown High School volunteers for Key Club for the last few years at the International Holiday Folk Fair and their Czech dinner. We have always been incredibly impressed and grateful for the amazing quality of the volunteers we have gotten from Germantown High School. They work hard, show up on time, communicate if something comes up, and are respectful to our members that they work with. We'd like to say thank you with a small donation to the Key Club to offset the price of T-shirts that the students have to order. So I thought that was a great message to share about the great work our kids are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Richfield Days Parade, $650 towards Germantown High School band transportation. Germantown Athletic Booster Club, 3 Gell's cheese dispensers, 1 for each soccer, football, and indoor concession stands. Rockfield PTA, 3 smart TVs for $9,405 from to Rockfield Elementary. Rockfield PTA Camp Minikani Day, approximately $4,000 towards Rockfield Elementary. Germantown High School Class of 2024, approximately $2,700 towards the Germantown High School Courtyard Project. Germantown Athletic Booster Club, $2,547.80 for Germantown High School training room supplies towards GHS Athletics and Activities Department. Germantown Athletic Booster Club, Charbroil 5-burner propane grill for $210.74, and a Blackstone flat top propane grill, $313.34 towards GHS Athletics and Activities. Hubertus Chiropractic Center, $100 towards the Germantown Girls Golf. And finally, an anonymous donation of $500 towards Germantown High School School Choir.
Yeah, if you're keeping track, that's over $38,000 in donations. That's outstanding.
And when we hear comments that were shared too, our kids do great work and represent our school district very well outside of the community even.
Yeah, I think month over month, and we say this every time, but really, it's astonishing the amount of generosity that this district receives from its community in the types of these donations. And I think it's a testament to the belief of the community in the school district and the work that these students are doing, and as an investment in their growth. So just once again, it's fantastic to be a part of a community that's that generous. Thank you. That was discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item 6, Building and Grounds Committee, Mr. Pollack.
Thank you. Buildings and Grounds did meet earlier today, where we welcome our newest member of the committee, Meg Cutts. She's going to serve as our citizen representative, but she also serves on the Village of Germantown Board as well. We did have a bit, and you'll notice in the agenda today, there was the potential of bringing forward a positive recommendation that our agenda was amended to move that discussion and action item from reports and updates to unfinished business. We did speak to the long-range facility planning RFP. Concerns were shared by committee members that more information should be shared with the community before action is taken, and clarification on what expectations should be regarding this process moving forward. Some of the language that was provided in the fee proposal was also concerning and needed to be adjusted. Administration was asked to invite firms in front of the committee and/or board to present and share their information before action could be taken. And one item that was clarified that was in the RFP was that it was focused on the 6 schools in the district and not the administration building. So we had that discussion. As I mentioned, there was no action taken by the committee this evening.
Thank you. Any questions?
The one last thing I would mention is for our citizens in our community to watch that video, since there's a lot of detail shared during that meeting that would be of interest to them.
I would second that. I would definitely take the time to watch it and understand the conversation that was happening. The context of conversation is much more revealing than just the information in the board packet. So please take the time, or if you have any questions, reach out to us, and we'll gladly answer that as best we can. If there's no further, item 7, Finance Committee. Mr. Lowell.
Yes, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening in the PAC here. Full board item 7A. We approved the vouchers, and full board item 7B was removed from the agenda because it was not voted on or approved in the building committee. And that's all we had. It was a record short meeting of 6 minutes.
An important 6 minutes.
Very important.
Business of the board. So fantastic. Nothing further then, Mr. Loth?
That's it.
Thank you. Item 9, Personnel Committee. Mr. Brown. I'm sorry, item 8, Teaching and Learning Committee, Ms. Higginbotham. I didn't forget. We'd have got back to it.
All right, so the Teaching and Learning Committee met earlier also. We had a presentation by Katie Cole talking about the in-services training that they've had in the pupil service department, getting together the special ed staff and the administration there, working on an IEP checklist and also a presentation that will help aid our special ed students, parents, teachers across the board to understand, the direction that we're going in and what our expectations are. So I'm really excited about that, just the consistency that we're working on throughout the district so people know expectations. We also went over the training for Wonders, the future training options and subjects that will be coming through for the future personnel development days. So doing great work with our IEP students, so excited to see where that all goes. We also had an update on the Wonders training, the professional development days we've had for that resource. We're really excited that all the hard work that we've put into the students, the teachers, working through the pilot program to finally be working and putting that into play now. Teachers have a great resource that they are using to be able to use the resource to the best of its ability. Also, the teachers that went through that pilot program are reading specialists, helping kind of to keep that program moving forward. So we're looking forward to all of the updates that we'll be having on the success for the teachers, the students, and the parents, how they're kind of seeing how that curriculum goes. And yeah, so pretty much what we're talking about is just keeping the consistency throughout all of the schools and keep growing that way. Our agenda item that we had for voting on tonight was the introduction of a world language resource pilot. This includes SOMOS 1 and 2 and Hoyles. Thank you. 1 and 2. We've already been using some of that curriculum. We have, 10, I think, different pieces of it that we have used in the past. So the sounds like it's a universal participation from the Spanish teachers that are excited to just bring it down to one curriculum. It offers lesson plans that differentiate for different students, that we're meeting all of the students' needs, ones that are excelling and the other ones that might be a little bit behind. And in the cost of the curriculum, it includes any updates and materials at no extra cost. So because the teacher's already familiar with it, we're excited to see how that grows. With that, we made a motion to provide a positive recommendation of the full board to approve the piloting of SOMOS 1 and 2 and Hoyles 1 and 2 during the 2024-25 school year, not to exceed $6,000.
Comes forward with a positive recommendation to the full board, does not require a second. Any discussion? I think everybody was here for that initial discussion. I appreciate that. If there's no further discussion, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. And if that's it for teaching and learning, now we'll move on to item 9, Personnel Committee. Mr. Brown.
The Personnel Committee was the last of 4 committee meetings immediately preceding this Board of Education. So we just wrapped that up and moved into this, where we covered staffing updates. Mr. Nowak went over the staffing updates. We had a discussion regarding some positions that have been challenging to fill and some possible resolutions to that. Mr. Nowak then talked about a support staff compensation study. Last year, we wrapped up a teacher compensation study that led to some really positive changes, and we're hoping to see the same results from the support staff compensation study. The item of new business was the 2024-25 contracted and hourly advising positions for winter coaching and advisor contracts. And that was an agenda item that came forward with a positive recommendation to the full board for hourly and contracted advising positions as well as winter coaching positions.
That comes to the full board with a positive recommendation, doesn't require a second. Any discussion? I just have one clarification question. On the motion, there was to remove, they're no longer an employee here, or what?
Correct. On the original
The document.
list, there was a
It was
name
just
on there
inaccurate.
that, shouldn't be on there.
Jeff Gillen.
Needed to be removed.
I think it would be to remove Jeff Gillen from the list as part of the motion.
He's just not fulfilling that role, so
Correct.
we don't need to.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so that was part of the positive recommendation to the full board.
I didn't know if I needed to include that or by,
That was the recommendation from the committee at the time.
okay.
I just wanted clarification on that. Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. And nothing further from Personnel Committee. Item 10, closed session. A motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 1985, sub 1, sub C, to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any employee, A, personnel matter, B, district administrator evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Barney with the motion. Mr. Pollock, I believe, with the second there. And we'll go roll call.
Ewert.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Barney's a yes. Loth.
Yes.
Pollock.
Yes.
Higginbotham.
Yes.
I believe there are no plans to come out of close from this for any further board action. So thank you for coming tonight. Travel safe. We appreciate your attention for the evening.